Do you know that every single time that you go to bed to sleep, you're actually losing money? This is not me trying to tell you not to sleep or me telling you to jimasu. It's nothing like that. But for the simple fact that you have your money kept in the bank or that you keep your money in the bank, you actually lose money every second. One word, inflation. Now, while this might be a global issue, for the simple fact that you are a Nigerian, you have it worse. The money supply rate in Nigeria has been on a steady increase from about 7% to 26%, and this has caused inflation in Nigeria to rise to 18% approximately. Now, with a GDP growth of about 0.5%, the Nigerian economy is a ticking time bomb. So what does this mean for you actually? This means you need to start making smart decisions so you can hedge against the incoming disaster. Now, while you might think that this does not directly affect you, think about the simple fact that a sachet of pure water is now 20 naira. It used to be 5 naira, right? Look guys, you need to start investing smartly or your 1 million naira will be worth $50 in years to come. My name is Teme, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 good reasons why you should stop keeping your money in a bank and start buying Bitcoin right now. So before I get into this video, I want to let you know that none of this is financial advice, and as a matter of fact, don't take anything I say too seriously, because sometimes I don't really take myself too seriously, you know. So do your own research and make sure that you can validate whatever it is that I'm saying. Don't just jump into conclusions based on whatever it is that I've said. And of course, if you find this video very interesting and informative, make sure you smash that like button, and of course turn on the notification bell, because some of the stuff that I'll be posting, or some of the videos that I'll be posting actually, are time sensitive, and if you get here slow, you might miss out on the opportunity. Okay, so with that being said, let me get straight to it. The first reason that you should buy Bitcoin is because it's a huge investment opportunity. Now, I know you might have heard this a couple of times, but let me throw this into perspective for you. So let's go back in time a little. Let's go back to last year, exactly this time last year. So let's say you had 500,000 naira that you wanted to save for 1 year, which would be today, right? The value of that money was about $1,290 as of last year, and the exchange rate was about 387 naira per dollar. So now it's 2021 and you want to cash out. You still have your 500,000 naira, right? But it's not worth the same amount in dollars. The new exchange rate as of now is about $411. That means your 500,000 naira is now worth about $1,216. That means you've lost about $74. Makes no sense. So let's see, the person who chose to put his money in Bitcoin instead, this time last year, I think Bitcoin was about $9,000. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is at about $33,000 or $33,500 as at the time of making this video. That means this person has been able to multiply his money 4 times. So that's 500,000 naira is actually about 2 million naira right now. Now you might be thinking that that's just last year. Let's go 5 years behind, which was about 2016, right? 2016, you had 500,000 naira. And you decided to put your money in the bank and save it for 5 years. The exchange rate as of 2016 was about 283 naira per dollar. So that means your 500,000 naira was worth about $1,766. And right now, dollars is about 411, and that's even the standard price. In the black markets where most people buy, a dollar is actually about 500 naira. So that means you that decided to keep your money in the bank that was worth $1,766, that same 500,000 naira is now worth only $1,000. That means you've lost like $766. Think about this. Whereas the person that decided to buy Bitcoin 5 years ago bought Bitcoin at about $700. Bought Bitcoin at about $700. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is about $33,500. This person has been able to multiply his capital by 41. Let's calculate this. 500,000 naira multiplied by 41. 20.5 million. Guys, don't you see this? Don't you see that Bitcoin is actually a good investment opportunity? So while you're out there thinking that some of your friends did blood money, some people are just really highly informed. And the cool part about it is the fact that cryptocurrencies is actually still early. So you actually have a good time to invest. And I'm not talking about investing to collect your money next year. No, you're investing long term. Think of it as a store of value. Okay, the same way people keep their money in gold, the same way you should keep your money in this digital gold, which is Bitcoin. Now let me not even bother to go back 10 years, that would just blow your mind. Let me go to the second reason you should buy Bitcoin. So the second reason you should actually be buying Bitcoin right now is because institutional money is actually coming in. And what do I mean by institutional money? I'm talking about big companies as you know them. An example would be Square Inc., which was founded by Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. Another company is MicroStrategy, who have actually gone out of their way to invest their entire cash reserves in Bitcoin. Not just that, they also went as far as buying shares from people who were no longer interested in investing in the company. They bought back the shares, and then the returns of that purchase was invested in Bitcoin. Not just even that, they also went as far as going to the traditional markets and public markets to borrow money just to buy Bitcoin. And I'm not talking about $1 million or $2 or $500 million. I'm talking about billions of dollars to purchase Bitcoin. Now it's either these people are crazy or they're really smart people. Now we've also had some fintech companies like PayPal, Visa. Being that they are financial companies, it would be highly irresponsible of them to ignore these new digital assets that are just coming to play for everybody. And now we've also had some billionaires, Elon Musk, the richest man in Mexico, talking about Bitcoin. And then when I feel like this will really start to come into perspective for a lot of people is when tech companies like Apple. Now keep in mind that the co-founder of Apple already announced Bitcoin as a digital miracle. So imagine a company like Apple actually integrating it with their method of payment, adding it to Apple Pay. It will be huge. And of course, competition companies like Google Pay will have to do the same because they don't want Apple to dominate that market. And of course, other competitors like Amazon Pay and the likes, they're all going to start integrating it into their software. And the thing about Bitcoin is that it's actually a software, so integrating it into other softwares is actually possible. Unlike assets like gold, silver, and precious stones and the likes, you can't put them in your phone basically. So buying Bitcoin right now before these things start to happen is actually very wise. Now, apart from the fact that these companies are actually trying to invest in these digital assets, they are also doing this to hedge against inflation. The inflation I spoke about earlier on is not peculiar to Nigeria alone, it's actually a global thing, and the United States is not excluded. Earlier this year, the United States printed about $1.9 trillion from thin air. They just printed it out to give out as COVID relief, which is a good thing, but it actually affects the economy. Now, there are many financial institutions with the opinion that that kind of printing of money will actually affect the economy of the United States, and it will lead to something called hyperinflation in the long term. So they're trying to hedge against this and avoid this affecting their own money. So you want to invest in something that is actually growing. The third reason you want to buy Bitcoin right now and not next year and not even in the next 5 years is something called scarcity. There are only 21 million mineable Bitcoins. This means that the number of Bitcoin that will ever come into circulation is only 21 million. And right now, 18.8 million has already been mined. This leaves us with about 3 million more or less to be mined. Now you might be wondering how Bitcoin itself is even created. So there are certain companies that actually mine Bitcoin, and how they do this is a bit technical, but I'll just try to simplify it. So what they do is that they solve a particular mathematical problem in transactions, and they are rewarded with Bitcoin. Now I might have not exactly explained this perfectly, so maybe you should do a little research and read about mining Bitcoin, and so you understand what it's really about. But basically, the reward for mining Bitcoin gets cut into half every 4 years, 3 years, 9 months actually, but approximately 4 years, it gets cut into half. So this means that the supply rate is actually getting cut into half every 4 years, and the demand is still on the rise. And what this means is when there's high demand and there's less supply, the value of that given commodity would definitely rise. So let me give a little example of how scarcity can actually affect the price of a commodity. During the pandemic last year, there was a huge demand for hand sanitizers and toilet papers. Because of this huge demand, people went to stores and were just buying out sanitizers and buying out toilet papers. This made toilet papers and hand sanitizers very scarce. And where you could find them, they were actually very high in price because there was still very high demand while the supply. So when the supply of Bitcoin keeps reducing, the demand will always keep rising because a lot of institutions will actually realize that they need this asset as a store of value to hedge against inflation. So pretty soon it's going to become very difficult to get 1 Bitcoin. Eventually it will become more difficult to get half a Bitcoin. And then people will be like, since I can't get half a Bitcoin, let me get a quarter of a Bitcoin. And at that point, they'll be willing to pay whatever amount, and this will eventually make the value of Bitcoin rise. Now this brings me to the number 4 reason you actually want to buy Bitcoin right now. This is coming from more of a data point of view and a statistical point of view actually. More Bitcoins are actually moving out of exchanges and into wallets. What this means is that if you have your Bitcoins in an exchange, it means you are ready to exchange it for something else. It means you're a trader and you're buying and you're selling, you're buying, you're selling. But in a situation whereby we have more people moving their Bitcoins out of exchanges and into wallets, this means that these people that are doing this are not ready to sell their Bitcoins anytime soon. And most people that actually do this are the people with a lot of Bitcoin. So what this means is that the price of Bitcoin is not going to zero anytime soon as most people think. It is never ever going to go to zero, as a matter of fact. It's just like you imagining that gold will go to zero someday, or that the value of gold will drop as low as zero. It's not going to happen. So what you want to do is get yourself some Bitcoin and keep it for the long term, 5 years, 10 years. Don't look at the short term movement, look at the long term movement. I should also show you a chart called the stock to flow model. Now this stock to flow model actually predicts that Bitcoin at a particular time will be worth $1 million. Now you might think that this is far-fetched, but trust me, last year when Bitcoin was about 3,000, no one would have ever imagined that Bitcoin would get to 60 something thousand dollars. This is a huge opportunity, guys, and you actually want to be taking advantage. Make sure you do your research and read up on it, of course. Don't take my advice only, okay? Now this brings me to the final reason you actually want to be buying Bitcoin. Due to the fact that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies at large actually are very new in the trading markets, this makes the prices very volatile, and this actually makes it good for trading. And I'm talking about being active in the market, trading on leverage. In Nigeria, as you know, the employment rate has reduced drastically, and even more recently it was announced to us that there are no jobs for the youths. So when you learn how to trade, you're actually creating a source of income for yourself that is sustainable if you do it the right way. So let's say you have 30,000 naira and you choose to trade that 30,000 naira on 10x leverage, and you can manage to average at least 30% profit every single day. Within a week, you would have doubled your entire capital. Now I know this is not exactly easy to do, but I already made a video on how to do this and you can check it out here. And if you've watched my video on trading and you think that this is very difficult for you to do, I'm going to leave you with the words of a very wise man.
If you don't believe in yourself, who will believe for you? Nobody, man. That's the truth about it. You have to believe in yourself because you know you can do it. And once you believe, you can never achieve.
But you get the point. The point is believe in yourself, and when you believe in yourself, there's nothing you cannot achieve. Alright, so with that being said, thank you for watching. Bye. So if you're still here with me, that means you actually stayed to the end of this video, and I really appreciate you for that. Make sure to smash that like button, and of course hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bells so that you get notified whenever I post something. Alright, bye.